Birds are not real. Unless you're in Pokemon, of course, in which case they are very real and very plentiful. As a matter of fact, in Hoenn there are about 12 different Pokemon bird species. So now that we've established there are many bird species, we've also got to figure out how exactly strong they are. To determine their strength, I challenged myself by only using flying types in Pokemon Emerald. Of course, it wouldn't be any challenge without using the Hardcore Nuzlocke rule set. Do these birds have what it takes to destroy the Pokemon League, or will they simply flock to their doom? Let's find out. We begin like any normal run when we move into Littleroot Town and meet our neighbor May. Afterwards, we find Professor Birch getting chased around by a Poochyena. In order to help him, he lets us pick any of the 3 Pokemon in his bag. I picked Torchic just to help him, but clearly it's not a bird. Instead, after receiving Pokeballs, we head over to Route 103 where we can find our real starter, the Water Bird, or as it's more commonly known as, a Wingull. From here we head over to Norman's gym where we find him being more of a father figure to this random kid Wally than he ever was to us, and then we can head over to Route 104 where we find a new species of bird, the Strong Bird. To most people, this bird is known as Tailo and has an insane ability known as Guts. This ability gives a Pokemon the equivalent of a +1 attack boost whenever it is affected by any sort of status condition. This is obviously very abusable and will be insanely useful for this challenge. In Petalburg Woods, we find another potential bird species, more commonly known as Silcoon. The beauty bird remains in a cocoon state until it hits level 10 and evolves into Beautifly. After we get this new bird, we find a Team Aqua member who's just harassing the scientist, so we help him out and get rid of the Aqua member for him. Once that's dealt with, we can head over to Rustboro City and keep going just beyond that a little and find ourselves the Ninja Bird. While not quite yet a bird, the Ninja Bird remains as a Nincada until it evolves into a Ninjask. Unfortunately, that isn't within our level cap, so we'll have to challenge Roxanne without him. Speaking of which, it's time to challenge her now. Roxanne leads with Geodude while I lead with Beauty Bird. Using a strategy that I stole from Flygon HG, Beauty Bird uses Absorb on the first Geodude to take it down in a single hit. Then, when Roxanne sends in her second Geodude, Beauty Bird just goes for a Harden while Geodude lands a Rock Tomb to lower our speed and deal quite a bit of damage. Then, an Oran Berry plus an Absorb heals Beauty Bird to nearly full HP while also taking down Geodude in a single hit. Last for Roxanne is her Nose Pass. Beauty Bird outspeeds and lands a critical hit Absorb that brings Nose Pass down to about half HP. Nose Pass then lands a Rock Tomb that doesn't quite take the KO but lowers our speed again. Miraculously, Beauty Bird still outspeeds and lands an Absorb to bring Nose Pass back down to half HP even after the Oran Berry heal. But sadly, this also means we have to let Beauty Bird go down to a Rock Tomb. Once that happens, we can safely send in Water Bird and her Water Gun is able to take down Nose Pass and earn us the first gym badge. A very tough battle that was unfortunately won with bloodshed of our own. But even if we want to mourn, we have to keep moving forward. We head over to Rest Earth Tunnel to help that scientist guy from before, as a Team Aqua member stole his parts and he stole a Water Bird. After taking back the parts as well as helping the Water Bird, we can head over to Dewford Town with the help of the man whose Water Bird that I saved. As soon as we arrive in Dewford, we head straight over to the gym so we can face off against Brawly. And here we really see the true strength of the Strong Bird. Brawly leads with Machop while I lead with Strong Bird. Since Strong Bird is pre-poisoned, Guts activates and a wing attack is enough to take down Machop in a single hit. Next to come out is Meditite and he also goes down in a single wing attack. Last to come out is Makuhita, and just like the other two, a wing attack is all it takes to take it down and we win ourselves the second gym badge. Once we leave the gym, I get myself an old rod in Dewford and immediately start fishing. When we fish, we find the pre-evolution of the Fish Bird. More commonly known as Gyarados, this Pokemon really trivializes some challenges. But in this game, the physical special split really holds it back. Also with the level cap, our Nincada is able to evolve into the Ninja Bird. From here we head over to Dewford Cave and we find the Bat Bird. After catching the Bat Bird, we head deeper into the caves where you can find Steven. We deliver the letter to him from his father and then we can head over to Slateport. We deliver the Devon parts and then we head into the museum where Team Aqua is invading. On the second floor, we fight 2 Team Aqua grunts. As a result of the first battle, Strong Bird becomes a Swellow, which ends up making the second battle even easier. Afterwards, Bat Bird also evolves, and then on the way towards Mauville, our rival challenges us to a battle. But this problem isn't really a problem as Strong Bird one-shots the Lombre, one-shots the Slugma, and while it doesn't one-shot the Marshtomp, it just wastes time going for a bide and Strong Bird takes it out next turn. Then, after bullying Wally, we can finally take on the third gym. However, However, this isn't just any ordinary gym. This gym is a spawn of Satan himself. While electric types are obviously a hard counter to flying types, it doesn't help that I have like no TMs to work with, no held items, and horrible learn sets that are from Gen 3. While I usually don't use them, here I will have to heavily rely on EVs so that I can even get past this battle. After doing a ton of preparation and Golbat evolving into Crobat, it's time to begin this hellspawn of a battle. Watson leads with Voltorb, while I lead with Batbird. For Batbird's EVs, I maxed out its HP and its special attack. The special attack helps Bites deal enough damage, while the HP means I can tank a Spark. On turn 2, Bite brings Voltorb down to 1 HP, while a Spark from Voltorb brings Batbird to the yellow while also paralyzing. Batbird's holding a Cherry Berry which cures a paralysis, and Watson uses a Super Potion, while Batbird uses another Bite. A critical hit leaves Voltorb on 1 HP, and one more Bite finishes off Voltorb. Fishbird is holding an EXP share which allows him to learn the move Dragon Rage. Next to come in is Electrike, who takes just over 60% from a Bite, and of course Static activates on Batbird. Electrike wastes time going for a Howl, and next turn Electrike outspeeds and lands a Shockwave. But Arceus must be smiling down upon us, as a combination of a low roll plus the HP EVs means Batbird lives on 9 HP. This allows Batbird to take the KO on Electrike, and Manectric is next to come in. This unfortunately means Batbird's time has come, and while it's so sad how soon it was after we caught her, we give our salutes as this battle would have been impossible without her. This gives us a free switch into Ninja Bird, who deals just a slight bit of chip damage with Scratch before going down to a single Shockwave. While this one is a lot less ceremonious, this was still very necessary. So at the bare minimum, we could take our hats off for Ninja Bird. From here, I send in Strong Bird, and a quick attack brings Manectric down to about 30%. Manectric wastes time going for a Howl, and a Citrus Berry raises Manectric's health to about 60%. Another quick attack brings Manectric's health down to about 20%, while Manectric once again wastes time going for another Howl. Watson then uses a Super Potion, but a quick attack from Strongbird leaves Manectric in range so that another quick attack can kill it next turn. Magneton is last to come in, and I switch out to a Gyarados who has max HP EV so that it could survive a Shockwave. I also gave Fishbird max special attack EV so that a Flamethrower has about an 80% chance to take down Magneton. So it comes to this. Does the Flamethrower take the KO? Survey says, we don't care about a range. Fishbird lands a critical hit and absolutely decimates the Magneton with a Flamethrower. With that clutch play from Fishbird, we have survived the third gym. A bloody battle, but we escaped with our best Pokemon nonetheless. As a sort of reward for surviving the battle, Waterbird evolves into a Pelipper as a result of the new level cap. From here we head over to Meteor Falls where we find Archie beefing with some random Team Magma members, and then we head over to Mount Pyre where we can face off against the Team Magma leader, Maxie. He leads with Mightyena while I lead with Fishbird. A Flamethrower brings a Mightyena down to about half HP while a Bite does minimal damage to Fishbird. A second Flamethrower finishes him off, and next to come out is Zubat. A Flamethrower brings Zubat down to about 15%, and a Wing Attack does minimal damage. Next turn Maxie heals, but a Flamethrower brings Zubat back down to the red. A third Flamethrower brings down Zubat, and last to come out is Camerupt. A Dragon Rage does exactly half to Camerupt, while Camerupt just wastes time going for a Focus Energy. I then BM by switching out to Waterbird and landing a Water Gun to finish off Camerupt. With Maxie taken care of, I take the Meteorite and head down Mount Pyre, and then head over to Flannery's gym in Lava Ridge Town. I then start the gym leader battle where Flannery leads with Numo and I lead with Strongbird. This is a little bit of a massacre as Strongbird takes down Numo in a single hit with Return, takes down Slugma with a single return, takes down Camerupt with a single return, until finally Torkoal comes in and I'm forced to switch out to Fishbird. On the switch in, Torkoal just misses an overheat. From here, Gyarados just launches a bunch of Dragon Rages while Flannery spams heals, until finally that item spamming cheater runs out of items and a Dragon Rage is able to take down Torkoal. With that, we obtain the 4th gym badge, and then we can head straight back to Petalburg where we can challenge Norman for the 5th gym badge. Once we begin the battle, he leads with Spinda and I lead with Strongbird. However, just like the other Pokemon, a return makes quick work of Spinda, and the same goes for the Vigoroth. Next is Lanoon, but that also goes down to a single return. Last up is Slaking, and I decide to switch out to Fishbird to land an Intimidate. Unfortunately, it does doesn't matter as a facade crits anyways, but that's fine as we're able to swap out to Water Bird on the loafing turn, and then we're able to protect on the turns where he could attack. And then after doing this for a while, I realized we're not making any progress and that protect will run out of PP soon. So after getting him within range of a return, I decided to switch out to Strong Bird. But I straight up forgot that he was going to attack this turn and Strong Bird nearly dies. Fortunately, he pulls through and takes a KO with a return next turn, and that completes the Strong Bird sweep while also earning us the 5th gym badge. From here, I decide to head back to get some encounters that I missed previously, like Steel Bird the Skarmory as well as Fluffy Bird the Swablu. Along with those two encounters, we also find the mythical Banana Bird. From here, we gotta head over to the Weather Research Facility where Team Aqua is messing around with them. After handling Team Aqua admin Shelly, it's time to once again face off against our rival. May leads with Lombre while I lead with Fishbird. On turn 1, Lombre goes for a fake out that makes Fishbird flinch, and next turn, Lombre goes for a nature power that deals no damage. Fishbird then goes for a flamethrower that does equally as little because of the rain, and next turn, Lombre decides to switch out to Slugma. This is ironic as I end up switching out to Steel Bird. But of course, this is a bad matchup, so I decide to switch back to Fishbird. On the switch-in, Slugma just wastes time going for a Harden, and next turn, a Surf from Fishbird takes down Slugma. From here, Lombre comes back out, and I switch out to Steel Bird. Next turn, Lombre goes for an Absorb that does literally 1 damage, and an Air Cutter is able to take down Lombre. Last to come in is Marshtomp, so I go out to Banana Bird on a Mud Shot for some reason. Anyways, a takedown does a little chunk, but it doesn't matter as a Magical Leaf takes down Marshtomp next turn. From here, we go a little past War Tree City where we find Steven and we bully a Kecleon for some fun. Then, afterwards, we're able to face off against the War Tree City gym leader, Winona. She leads with Swablu while I lead with Fishbird. An Ice Beam is enough to take her down in 1 hit, and next to come out is Tropius. She also gets taken out in 1 hit by an Ice Beam, and next to come out is Pelipper. She too goes down to 1 hit, but not to an Ice Beam, but instead a Thunderbolt. Next for Winona is a Skarmory who just barely survives a Thunderbolt, but also gets paralyzed in the process. Skarmory then retaliates with a weak Aerial Ace, and Winona heals her next turn. A Flamethrower from Fishbird brings Skarmory back down to the red, and next turn Winona lets Skarmory go down. Last for Winona is her Altaria, who outspeeds and lands a weak Aerial Ace, and an Ice Beam leaves Altaria with about 10% HP. Another weak Aerial Ace accomplishes nothing, and one final Ice Beam is all it takes for Winona to finally give up, and we win ourselves the 6th gym badge. With the new level cap, Fluffy Bird is finally able to reach its final form, and then we can head straight over to Mount Pyre. At the summit, we go through a gauntlet of a bunch of Team Aqua members until we clear them all out. From the old couple at the top, we get a Magma emblem which lets us go into the secret Team Magma base. But right before that, we go over to Lily Cove and face off against our rival right in front of the department store. May leads off with Tropius while I lead off with Fishbird. A single Ice Beam from Fishbird is able to take down their Banana Bird, and next to come in is Slugma, who also goes down to a single Surf. Next to come out is May's Ludicolo, and I switch out to Strong Bird, who fortunately avoids an Astonish. This means I can safely go for Fly, which avoids all damage and takes down the Ludicolo in a single hit. Last to come out is Marshtomp, but a simple switch out to Banana Bird just to get him active means that Banana Bird can land a Magical Leaf and end our final rival battle for the rest of the run. Well, except Wally, I guess. From here, we head over to Team Magma's hideout that's near Lava Ridge Town, and we make our way deep into the hideout where we find Maxie messing around with the blue orb and waking up Groudon. Groudon just leaves us, I guess, and then Maxie challenges us to a battle. Like, bro, I think we have bigger problems. But whatever, he leads with Mightyena and I lead with Fishbird. A Surf nearly one-shots Mightyena while Mightyena just hits us with a Scary Face. Maxie then heals Mightyena, but that's not quite enough, and a Surf is able to take down Mightyena right away. Next is Camerupt, who tries to go for an Amnesia, but ends up getting one-shot by a Surf anyways. Last up is a simple Crobat, who outspeeds and launches a weak wing attack, and a Thunderbolt brings Crobat down to the yellow. This prompts a heal from Maxie, which means the next Thunderbolt just brings Crobat down to the red. On the next turn, Crobat goes for a Confuse Ray, but that ultimately doesn't matter as a Thunderbolt just takes it out anyways. With that, we defeat Maxie, who just ultimately realizes that he was making the wrong decision, which makes this entire battle a complete waste of time. Anyways, from here we head straight back to Slateport, and we arrive just in time to find Team Aqua escaping with a stolen submarine. We chase them back to their hideout over in Lily Cove City, and fight our way through the facility until we find the last grunt who's defending them. Funnily enough, his dialogue says I'm a cut above the rest, but he literally only has a Mightyena and a Golbat. Like, technically he's right, but this team is still straight buns, yo. Anyways, I guess this did his job because after we defeat him, it's too late, and Team Aqua gets away. And I guess even though they're about to potentially commit a world catastrophic event, we don't have access to the HM dive, so we can't really chase them, which leaves the most obvious choice. If you thought that would be heading over to Moss Deep City and challenging the 7th gym, you would be correct. Because to us, world catastrophic events are just any other day. Anyways, it's time to challenge Tay and Liza in their double battle, who leads with Xatu and Claydol. I lead with Steelbird and Waterbird, and turn 1, Xatu goes for a Calm Mind, while Steelbird goes for a Steel Wing into Xatu. Claydol goes for an Earthquake that hits literally nobody, and Waterbird just goes for a Surf that hits both Xatu and Claydol. Next turn, Xatu goes for a Confuse Ray against Steelbird, which immediately pays off as she hits herself. Claydol just wastes time going for an Earthquake, which you gotta think, man. Surely there's a better move selection, man. And Waterbird just goes for an Ice Beam that takes down Xatu. Steelbird hits herself again, of course. Claydol wastes time going for another Earthquake. Lunatone goes for a Calm Mind, and Waterbird launches off a Surf. Tay and Liza then heal their Claydol, which why? And Steelbird finally snaps out of confusion, hitting Lunatone with a Steel Wing that leaves it at the red. Lunatone goes for another Calm Mind, but that ultimately doesn't matter as a Surf from Waterbird ends up taking down Lunatone. Last out for Tay and Liza is their Soul Rock, and next turn it takes about 50% from a Steel Wing. Claydol continues the campaign for most useless Pokemon ever, like seriously, not even a Reflector Light Screen, man? And Soul Rock goes for a Sunny Day, which means a Surf isn't able to KO either of the two Pokemon. But that's okay, as a Steel Wing takes down Solrock next turn, and a single target Surf is able to take down Claydol. Shout out to Claydol for literally doing nothing and clicking Earthquake every turn, and with that we receive the 7th gym badge and gain the ability to use Dive. From here we head over to the Moss Deep Space Center because Team Magma is messing with them, and then I go through a gauntlet of multiple Team Magma members. This segment culminates in a double battle where Steven and I team up to fight some Team Magma members, but this really makes no sense as, just like in my Heart Gold video, Steven is literally a champion level trainer. Why does he need me? Whatever though. Fishbird and Waterbird both provide ample help, and then we can head over to Kyogre's den. Archie arrives right after us and challenges us to a battle. Archie's Mightyena gets taken down in the same way as Maxie's, where a couple Surfs handle the job. Next for Maxie is a Crobat, who lands a weak wing attack and goes down to a single Thunderbolt. Next to come in is Sharpedo, and he goes down to the same fate. With that, we defeat Archie, who is the supposed Team Aqua leader, but has only one Water-type Pokemon on his team. But he obviously doesn't find that observation funny and just awakens Kyogre so that she can destroy the world. Then Maxie shows up, makes fun of Archie as we all go up to the surface, and find the entire Hoenn region is in pandemonium. From here we head over to Sootopolis City where we find Groudon and Kyogre having this weird standoff, and then we head over to the Cave of Origin where we find Wallace, the champion of the region, who tells us we have to head over to Sky Pillar so we can bring Rayquaza over to stop the fight. We do just that and tell on Groudon and Kyogre as if Rayquaza were their mother, and just like their mother would, Rayquaza comes down and tells them to quit it with all that nonsense. With that being said, we have saved the world and it's time to face off against the 8th gym. Speaking of which, we head over there right now and we start our battle against Juan. He leads with Love Disc and I lead with Strongbird. That puny fish gets destroyed by a return, and next to come in is Celio. Celio falls to the same fate, and next to come out is Kingdra. Kingdra just barely holds on after a return and then sets up a double team. After that, Kingdra heals next turn and a return brings it back down to the red right after. Fortunately, Kingdra gets no dodges and next turn we're able to take it down with another return. Next to come out is Whiscash, and I'm able to switch out to Banana Bird, who is able to 1v1 it very easily. Last is Crawdon, who I switch out to Fishbird for, and a single Thunderbolt ends the battle and we earn ourselves the 8th gym badge. With that, we can head over to Evergrande City and go into Victory Road. Pretty soon after we enter, Wally challenges us to one final battle. He leads with Altaria while I lead with Strongbird. A single return takes down Altaria, and next to come in is Magneton. I did an honest limit test here and went for a return thinking that it would take down Magneton. He just barely holds on and launches back a strong Thunderbolt that doesn't quite KO Strongbird. I switch out to Banana Bird, who is able to 1v1 the Magneton using Synthesis whenever he gets low. Next for Wally is his Roselia, who ends up getting one shot by a fly, and next to come in is Delcatty. From here I switch out to Fishbird, and a couple Surfs is all it takes to end the battle and defeat Wally for the final time of the run. From here we can continue through Victory Road until we eventually reach the Pokemon League. And after a bit of preparation, here is our final 6 that is ready to take on the Elite Four and eventually defeat the champion. First up in the Elite Four is Sydney. He leads with Mightyena while I lead with Waterbird. One Surf takes down Mightyena, and next to come out is Absol. From here I switch out to Strongbird, and returns are able to clean up all of the 5 Pokemon that are left. With that, Strongbird sweeps the first battle and we're on to the second. Next up on the chopping block is Phoebe and her ghost types. She leads with Dusclops while I lead with Waterbird. A Surf leaves Dusclops in the yellow, but a Confuse Ray makes me want to switch out. So I decide to switch out to Fishbird, who confidently takes a Shadow Punch on the switch in. A Surf then takes her down, and next to come in is Bayonet. A single Surf takes down Bayonet, and next to come in is Phoebe's second Dusclops. A Surf brings Dusclops down to about half, while a Rock Slide deals a little bit of damage. Dusclops barely survives a second Surf, while a Rock Slide brings me down to the yellow. Fortunately, next turn Phoebe doesn't heal, and a Surf is able to finish off Dusclops. Next up is the second Bayonet, who just barely survives a Surf, but Bayonet just wastes time going for a Grudge. Next turn, Phoebe heals, and a Thunderbolt brings Bayonet to about half. Next turn, Fishbird lands a Surf and takes a KO. Last up is Sableye, but it stands no chance, and a couple turns later it goes down. With that, we've defeated Phoebe, and it's on to the next battle. Next up in our campaign is Glacia and her ice types. For this battle, I lead with Strongbird, and her return is able to one-hit KO 4 of her first Pokemon. Last to come in is her Walrein, so I switch out to Fishbird, then 2 Thunderbolts secure the KO, and we win the third battle. Last up in the Elite Four is Drake and his Dragon types. Drake leads with Shelgon while I lead with Waterbird. Shelgon protects for a turn, but the next turn goes down to a single Ice Beam, and next out is Salamence. Salamence lands a Rock Slide that doesn't quite KO Waterbird, and an Ice Beam is enough to take it down in a single hit. Next to come out is Altaria. Altaria goes for a Dragon Dance, but this is ultimately a waste of time as an Ice Beam takes it out in a single hit. Kingdra is next to come out, who goes for a Dragon Dance, and I go for an Ice Beam to deal some chip. From here, I switch into Strongbird, while Kingdra sets up a second Dragon Dance. Kingdra lands a Body Slam that would have killed if it crit, but unfortunately we dodge it, and our return is enough to take it down from the HP it's at. Next to come in is Flygon, who goes for a Dragon Breath on the switch out to Fishbird, and next turn it lands a Dragon Breath that deals no damage, and an Ice Beam is enough to take out Flygon. With that, we have defeated Drake and the Elite Four. This means it's time for the final battle. The battle against Wallace the Champion. Wallace leads with Wailord while I lead with Strongbird. A return from Strongbird doesn't quite take the KO, but Wailord just sets up a Rain Dance. Wallace heals Wailord, but a return just brings it back down to 1 HP. Finally, a return takes down Wailord, and next to come out is Tentacruel. But Tentacruel is nowhere near as bulky, so it gets one-shot by a single return. Next to come out is Milotic, who is slightly more bulky, but still ends up going down to a single return. Next to come out is Ludicolo, but Strongbird just outspeeds and goes for a fly, one-shotting it on the next turn. Next to come out is Whiscash, and I decide it's finally time for Strongbird to take some rest. A return doesn't quite kill Whiscash, which means it's time to let Strongbird go down. His effort cannot be understated. He was, without a doubt, the MVP of this run. But still, we have a battle to win, so I send out Banana Bird, and as Whiscash heals, I use Magical Leaf to bring him back down to the red. Whiscash heals again, but a Magical Leaf just brings it back down to 1 HP. Whiscash heals again, but this ultimately doesn't matter, as next turn, after taking a Hyper Beam, Banana Bird is finally able to finish off Whiscash. Last to come in is Gyarados, who sets up a Dragon Dance as Banana Bird deals some chip damage, and Gyarados seals his fate by clicking Hyper Beam. While this does take out Banana Bird, this gives a free switch into Fishbird, who can land a Thunderbolt and finally win the challenge. With that, we have completed Pokemon Emerald using only flying types. I love all of you, and please remember to leave a like and subscribe. And if you made it this far, make sure to leave MVP Strongbird in the comments below.